Hey guys, Lizardlea here for day 26 of 4 Heavenly Beasts. So there is the progress from day 25. I don't have anything else to add, so let's just get to it.
And we're back! And David decided he regretted not talking about the NPCs in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. So...
and more general plot junk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
the first NPC, or at least major NPC that you meet, was Anevia. And I freaking loved her. And I still love her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really bitter she can't be one of my companions. Because I wanted her to be my companion. And I still want her to be my companion.
Yeah. Anevia is very pragmatic. Although I feel like she's kind of there just to... sometimes you have NPCs who just need to serve a purpose, and her purpose is to not get in the way. Like, she will serve whatever purpose you have. There's a very not worth spoiling moment later on where you're kind of like, oh man, Anevia is not going to like this. And then she just goes, okay, what do you want to do? And you're like, oh, right. And she gives a good reason. They actually do justify it. Like, because her take is, hey, if I do this one way, it could really screw you up. And you're like our hope and joy of actually ending this war. But obviously, morally, this is horrific. So what do you want to do?
Yeah,
and
I appreciated that. I thought that was amazing.
I thought it was a good justification and a way to do it, but I also am not super surprised that that's kind of always what she's going to do, is not get in the way of the plot.
I assumed it. Like, as soon as I found out, I was like, oh man, she's going to be like, all right, you have a choice. Keep her, keep me. And yeah, but her wife, Irabeth, is also one of my favorite characters. Like, I really like the NPCs in this game. I think they did a great job with them. I'm very attached to a lot of them.
I feel like Irabeth has more of a personality, though, because whereas Anevia will always give you the choice, Irabeth will say, no, this is too far. You know, you can make that choice, but I will be upset if you make that choice. Which, you know, it's okay, because I...
I mean, I feel like that's just the difference between, like, chaotic and lawful, or
right,
good and neutral.
I suspect that there's literally no line in the game that Anevia will walk out on, other than maybe Swarm, just because that's how she's designed as a gameplay thing.
Yeah, like, she was raised on the streets. She was not raised to be a good person, so it's understandable to me that she's going to be like, yeah, we're doing this for the greater good. I want to survive. I will survive if I keep you and your people around.
I see that more as a justification for why her character's that way, not that I believe that that's the way her character is. Like, she serves a gameplay purpose in my mind more than a story purpose, whereas her wife serves much more of a story purpose because she has multiple story beats and has, on multiple occasions, like, called out my character because I'm playing a demon as, like, what are we doing?
She likes me.
Yeah, well, she grew on me because I have probably slightly corrupted her and her worldview.
Wait, she grew on you or you grew on her? Who likes who more now?
I grew on her.
Okay.
In that, you know, she's had to do some heavy rationalizing with my path. I'm not going full out monster, but I have done some stuff, and there's definitely been some moments of her talking herself into, well, yeah, I guess that's a good, we'll definitely win the war now. I mean, you know, all those orphans will power our war machines. Not that bad, but like,
I get you.
With orphan-powered war machines, we'll definitely win, and that'll stop the demons. Yeah, we're still good, guys. Yeah. And that's been kind of interesting, because there's a whole bunch of reasons that's happened, too. So, either way, on top of all that, I thought one of the more interesting characters, plot-wise, kind of early on, is someone named Stottenvane, I think is...
Stottenvane, yeah.
Yeah. He's this dwarf that you meet.
Could you hear my heart break just now, you guys? Because it did.
And massive spoilers up to Act 3-ish, but he's this dwarf you meet that is in the Condemned.
Everyone hates him and treats him horribly.
Yes, he's in the Condemned, which is that group we mentioned in the last video that, you know, if you are a criminal or you fail in some way, you don't have to go to jail or be hung, you can join the Condemned. And it's not always a choice, sometimes it's a punishment they pick for you. And in his case, he was one of the leaders of Dresden. Not leader, but one of the main commanders or something of Dresden.
Yeah, he was high up.
This major important bastion in the middle of the world wound that was like a big deal. I think 70 years ago, because he's a dwarf and they live forever. Not literally, but long
They live
time.
long lives, yeah. Longer than humans.
He was basically seduced by a demon, and he didn't know it was a demon at the time.
Really?
No, he did not know she was a demon initially.
Oh, was she appearing differently?
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to be like, horns, no eyes, wings, a tail.
Yes, she can
not a
disguise
demon.
herself. Yes.
Okay.
I swear
Sorry.
she's done it, but I can't think of when. Anyways, so this demon seduced him, and then also tricked him by saying, "Hey, if you go out of the castle with this banner, there's a banner that protects the castle, and if you take that banner, you could go lead an attack on the demons because the banner stops you from being attacked." And he, not
Believes
knowing
her.
any better, that doesn't work, believes her and leaves. And so the demons all teleport in because now the banner's gone, they're allowed to, and slaughter everybody in the castle. And it's the worst defeat the humans have had since the wound opened.
And now the demons have the banner because they took it from him.
Yeah, and they took the banner from him, but they killed all of his comrades and left him alive.
Yep.
And so he came back, and the queen, who has been the same queen this entire time because she's taking potions to keep herself alive,
Yeah, she's
500
hundreds of years old.
decides, rather than execute him, to put him in the condemned, saying, "You will one day earn back your honor," or something. Basically like you can atone for your sins in
And
the
that was
condemned.
70 years ago. And then the game starts.
Yeah, and so for 70 years, this guy has been treated like trash by everyone.
Most people spit on him. He
Yeah.
expects your character to spit on him and tell him he's trash.
Yeah, like legitimately spit on him, not just like metaphorically, like actually.
Actually.
Yeah. So
I cried a little bit when I first met him in the inn and read his story because I was like, that's horrible. Like, I understand, yes, he did the wrong thing. He probably should have thought about it more before he took the thing that was protecting the whole town. But he thought he was doing the right thing. And now he is going, like, basically through the slums trying to make this up to everybody. With the whole point is that he's supposed to be getting better and he's supposed to be forgiven, and no one is forgiving him. No one is giving him that chance. To the point that he even says, "I wish she had just killed me.
Yeah.
Instead of sending me here, I wish the queen had just killed me or banished me.
Yeah.
Anything would be better than what I am right now."
Yeah, and so, because, like, the kind of point to me is, like, he was glory-seeking before, and so I think he absolutely... It's his own damn fault. Like, I don't have any pity for what he did, in that, like, yeah, even if she wasn't a demon, you were trying to get all the glory. You didn't run this by your superiors and try to have a plan. You were, like... It's my take on it, and I didn't pay too much attention, was very much that this wasn't like, oh, he just got tricked. It was very much they preyed on his pride and made him, oh, I'm going to be the hero. And it's like, well, if you'd chosen to not be the hero, they'd all still be alive.
Well, see, I got it that, yeah, he was going to be the hero and he was going to save everybody. Like,
Yeah.
he had good intentions.
I
Maybe they were prideful, but
I
I don't
think
know.
they
I don't
were
know.
definitely-
The impression I got was that it was good.
My take, and maybe I'll need to reread it, but my take was definitely that while maybe there were some good intentions in there, the main intention was to be the hero, not to be the good guy. And that's where they leveraged his pride to make him a fool. So, either way, yeah, he's been spending 70 years in good service, though, trying to atone for this. And so, I think 70 years of dealing with that is definitely not fair.
Oh,
and,
gosh,
like,
no.
at some point, and it's very clear that no one's ever going to actually forgive him. There's nothing he could possibly do to atone for what he did.
Yeah,
in their
my
eyes.
character, you get to the ending dialogue, and your options were to spit on him, to tell him you hope he earns his forgiveness, and to, like, just walk away or something, and a couple other ones.
Yeah.
And I said, I hope you get your forgiveness. I hope you can be forgiven one day. And he kind of just looks at me, he looks at you, and he's like, wow, no one's ever actually said that to me before, thank you.
Yeah.
And I was like, that freaking hurt me, because I was just like, ouch, like 70 years of this, and not a single person has ever genuinely hoped that you got a second chance.
Yeah, and he's surrounded by, like, paladins and all these other supposedly righteous and good people, and they all pretty much hate him.
Yep.
At best, they are indifferent to him. So, he's also got a brother who's a blacksmith, and his brother is, like, the only person who still cares about him, outside of maybe one other person who we'll get to. And so, his brother's like, yep, my brother did a really stupid thing, and, he probably deserves what happened to him, but I'm sticking by him because he's my brother, and that's what brothers brothers do, you know? And so, that's kind of your introduction to him, like, okay, kind of a standard trope, redemption arc, cool. So, as you go through the game, the demon
That seduced him.
Minago, shows up a couple of times, and basically, like, taunts him each time, like, oh, sweetie, I miss you, come join me, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
and
blah,
he's always
blah.
like, no, screw you! Middle finger.
Yeah, and so you get to this big fight, and she immediately kidnaps him. And he's fighting her. He's actually trying to kill her.
Oh, yeah, in mine he stabbed her.
Yeah, no, in mine too.
Oh, okay.
And then she kidnaps him. So you're fighting your way through this big, big battle. And as you're going through, you're seeing her and him still kind of fighting and all this other stuff going on. But you get to the very end. And so before you get to the very end, you see him fight her again. And it's like she offers again, like, join us, we actually care about you. All these people treat you like trash. You can join us. I still love you, sort of thing. And it's kind of played weird because she's clearly a seductress, but it's a little bit odd the way they both talk to each other, and that it's, like, not quite what you'd expect, where it's just, oh, he's an idiot, and she's 100% doesn't care. Now, Liz is farther than me, so maybe she knows more, but, so either way,
No, I got the impression that, like, yes, I would say it was like 60% she was trying to just take advantage of him where she could. 40%, yeah, she genuinely cared about him.
In that, like,
that was my impression.
Or as much as a demon can. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're obviously weird, but, like, and definitely didn't enjoy, or kind of didn't enjoy, again, weird, that he was just treated miserably. So either way, he attacks her, and then they teleport away again. And then you get to the final fight, which is where you finally start getting your ultimate powers. And you go and fight this demoness, the same one, Minago, who, if this were a normal fight, would just absolutely wreck you. The stuff she's casting, you won't be casting for another 100 hours into the game.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, because you have two major fights with her, right? And the first one, she curb stomps you.
Yeah, she curb stomps you.
The second one, you curb stomp her.
Yes, now suddenly you've got way late game powers. And
you start
just
healing every turn. Like, it's
crazy.
crazy.
Doing a bunch of damage, and you just wreck her and her army of demons.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what is going on? And so you're about to kill her, when all of a sudden, Staunton shows up and stops you. Mm-hmm. And you're like, is she controlling you? What's going on? And he's like, no, I choose to do this. Screw all of you. You know what? I've made my choice. I'll love her as much as I can love her, and she can love me as much as she can love me.
But I can't stay here. I've been treated like this for 70 years. I can't do another 70.
So either kill me so I die here, or she's going to take me with her. One of the two. And he saves her.
Yep.
And gets away. I think you can kill him there. I don't know. I didn't. You didn't.
Oh, so. God, no way. I kept going like, no, don't do this. Like, I want you to earn
And I was
forgiveness.
ahead of Liz at this point, so I was really excited watching Liz deal with this.
God, yeah, I cried again. Like, I got really attached to his character because, like, I'm really empathetic. So I was just like, yes, I know he made the wrong choice, but, like, he's trying to atone for it, and no one is giving him the chance to actually atone for it. And I feel like that's just so unfair. And that's what led to him betraying you.
Yeah, and so he betrays you, and then you go on, he straight up betrays you.
Yeah, it's a betrayal.
Yeah,
You're trying to kill her. She already tried to kill you.
Yeah. So now you go and you lead your army and you start doing stuff, and now you're fighting him and her. He's like kind of the first arc's main villain, or second arc's main villain. And that, he's betrayed you and you need to find out what's going on. And this entire time you're kind of curious, like, okay, can this guy be redeemed? Because if you've ever played any of these RPGs before, it's pretty traditional that, like, oh, I make the good guy choices and the good guys turn good. And I make the bad guys turn good and I redeem. And it's really surprising that, from what I understand, for a majority of paths in this game, if you're an angel, a demon, an Azada, any of the good paths, in fact, all the paths but two, he's gonna be evil.
Yep.
Or at least fall, And he makes a lot of really good arguments. In fact, one of the best written moments to me is, he again later, it's always very unclear, like, is she controlling him, is she duping him, or is this sincere? And there's a lot of good evidence that there's some twisted level of sincerity in all this. That, yes, he's made a real choice, he's not just being mind-controlled by the demon or anything, or,
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you again. My 100% impression was that it was fully him, because there are times when he's, he'll be like, okay, no, we're gonna kill these people right now. And Minago was like, no, honey, we should just run. And he's like, no, we're gonna kill them.
Well, by the end of it, you get there, but especially earlier on, there's moments where you tell him, like, hey, you've got to fight
when you're trying to follow after them.
Yeah.
I was completely like, oh no, she's controlling him, she's doing something.
Right.
But when you get to that final fight, I 100% believed that was him completely in control of himself.
We're getting there, you're getting ahead of me. So...
You were at that
No,
that
I
fight.
was trying to lead up to it because there's a fight before it that I find interesting, which is his brother, because you get into the enemy's place and you find the blacksmith, his brother, is in there, which is really surprising because you're kind of like, you haven't seen him since. And again, if you've ever played these games before, you're like, oh, he's going to be the named blacksmith. There'll be the generic blacksmith I get my trash from, and this is going to be the legendary blacksmith I get all my cool stuff from. That's how these tropes normally play out. And he's sitting in the enemy dungeon, which is like a hellhole, except for his room, which is kind of clean and nice. It's intimidating.
It was a hellscapey type
Well,
thing.
no,
There was fire everywhere.
It was intimidating, but they literally take time to describe that it's not
it's
like
clean,
the rest of the
it's not
castle.
cluttered.
It's not covered in blood and filth.
Yeah.
And you have a talk with him, like, oh my god, why are you here? Well, he's my brother. I've followed him through all this. I'm sticking with him. He made the wrong choice, and he owns that he made the wrong choice. But, you know, he's an idiot, but he's my brother, and that's what family's for. And you can talk with him, and if you want, attack him right there. And you can choose not to attack him. And like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to kill this guy. That's my choice.
Yeah, but then he's just like, I can't let you leave. You're going to go kill my brother. I can't let you.
Yeah, and I thought that was really good writing. Because, again, a lot of these games give the player all sorts of choices. But they don't feel totally realistic. Because it's like, well, yeah, I made my choice. And the character just had to accept it. Whereas in this, you were allowed to make a choice. But the outcome's still the same. Because that character knows what you're about to go do.
And he's not an idiot.
Yeah, he's not okay with it. And he's not an idiot. So, yes, he's going to fight you. And the fight was, for me at least, very frustrating because he's not even remotely dangerous, but he takes forever to frickin' kill.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. He buffs himself up like crazy, but his attacks aren't for crap. Like, he has, like, no strength, but his defense is very high. So I felt horrible beating him because I was like, you're not the one who made the bad choices. You're just following your brother who made bad choices.
And you own that these are bad choices, and it's not really a good thing to follow him, but you're trying to at least give him someone in his life who still cares about him when he is literally now surrounded by demons and everything else. And he's the leader of the armies of hell that you're dealing with at this point. Like, there's other leaders and whatnot, but he is actually actively leading the forces you're fighting.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You have to kill him. You do not get the choice to not
kill
him.
And I thought that was, again, really interesting, because a lot of these games would be like, oh, there's a way to save him, or there's a way to do this. And again, none of the good aligned paths can save this character or his brother. So, finally you go on, and you fight the character. You already kind of explained that he basically says, no, I'm going to fight you and kill you, and I either die here or I stop you. And the demoness is like, no, come on, let's run. And he's like, nope, if you run, I'll kill you too. We're doing this. And so you beat her and him and some other idiot who's betrayed you at this point.
I have high perception, so I figured out early that she was going to betray me.
Liz figured it out early, whereas she betrayed me at that fight, and then I murked her as well, because she's...
Yeah, she's just a...
Bards within archer range is not a good idea.
She's a bad bard.
Yeah, I'm within shooting range. That was not a clever play.
Yeah. Remember how I said in the previous video that Lan has like a +8 to initiative and he gets like 7 attacks? Yeah, she died in like 2 attacks.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well that's an easy target to eliminate. So, you win the fight. Well, I assume.
Wow.
Yeah, you can lose infinitely there, but otherwise you win. And you kill him, you know? And the demon runs away. She survives. She's like, screw this, I'm out. Like, but she's definitely not happy about the fact that you're killing him. And I've only run into her once since then, and she didn't bother to elaborate on anything. She just told me to screw off after I made a rather nasty comment to her. And I thought it was, again, very, very interesting because, from what I understand, the only ways you can, air quotes, save him are either A, you play as a lich, and after you kill him, you bring him back to life, and then at the very least he can get revenge on all the people who treated him like trash, fighting as an undead warrior, or B, you can play the Aeon path, which I know Liz may eventually play, and I already spoiled this, and I don't want to spoil it for her. So
well, I know you can mess with time, so you can make it appear, or at least actually change time maybe to have him never betray them. Or just change it so that, like, people don't realize that he did, and so he can be redeemed and whatnot. Like, I'm very excited to play Aeon and Trickster, because both of them sound very interesting, and
I know what happens in Aeon, so I don't want to say anything. Well, so we'll get to that. So, either way, I thought it was...
But that's it. Every other path you take, it will always lead to him siding with the demons and trying to kill you.
Yeah. And so I thought that was very realistic, because it's the idea that, look, yes, you had choices. How you choose to treat this person is valid, and it will affect other things.
But he's been dealing with this for 70 years.
And one person,
one day, because that's it. Like, you interacted with him, like, once or twice across a week.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a big enough impact to change his life.
And you're not a big enough person at that point to change his life. Like, you become the commander of the Crusade shortly after defeating him. But at the time before that, you're nobody, basically. You're just like, oh, this guy might be important, and so
yeah, you're just the weird guy with a wound on his chest that busts open every once in a while and sometimes has cool powers.
Yeah, and so... you can't do anything for him. It's not like you're going to be able to pardon him or anything, and so...
The Queen is the only one who has that power. It wouldn't even be the commander.
Because it might not even be in her best interest, because people would, riot, They'd be so ticked that, like, how dare you forgive him? We don't think he's done enough.
Oh, I shamed the Queen about that. I was like, why would you do that to him? You knew that was the wrong thing to do. You should have just banished him. And then she was like, yeah.
I think I did
Yeah,
the
I
same.
should have. Because this is another reason why I hate the Queen in the game. Because I'm just like, she has made so many bad choices, and I can't stand her.
I do feel a little conflicted about that, because, so one of the weird things they do that kind of, I think, affects the writing negatively is, in these games, you have a bunch of companions, and to kind of give them more of a purpose, even if they're not actively using all of them, they wind up on your council when you start leading things. And so your companions can give advice. But you are allowed, of course, to kill or not have in your party every single person you meet. You can go it alone if you want.
Yeah.
So they have to have an option that you can take if you just decided that everyone who should be on this council is dead or not part of your team. And thus, there's always the default option, and that's the Queen and her advisors, who she has loaned you to help, And the problem is, because those are the default options, they are supposed to be worse as sort of a punishment-ish.
See, and I disagree. There've been a couple where I was like, that is the best option, in my opinion.
They are...
But I have built my army very differently from yours.
They are numerically worse in most cases. Like, by any means, whatever purpose you're putting them in there for, the only thing they ever are is cheap. And it's a game where money is not really a limit.
I mean, yeah, I am a millionaire now, but I wasn't before.
I meant the recruitment money.
Well, yes, I can get more of that from my gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I'm a millionaire.
Yeah. So... Either way.
I don't know. I just... maybe the next time I go through, I'll consider it more.
Because, the way they read, the way the text reads even, it's like, the one that stuck out to me is they're like, okay, we need to upgrade our archers, I believe. And, because we've got these, like, basic archers, so what kind of archers do you want? And, Regil, who's, like, the gnome Hell Knight, who's, seasoned commander, is like, we want marksmen who can put an arrow between the slits in people's armor.
And I don't like the marksmen.
They're incredibly good, though. But at least his logic makes sense that we're fighting a heavily armored enemy and we need people who can place their shots.
Their logic is often
and
sound.
then I think Sela, who is, your paladin, is like, well, you know what, we need rangers because they're incredibly good archers and they're healthy.
I think I went rangers.
Yes, and they can, act on their own and they don't need support from a main group. And, in my case, I had Wendy. I wonder what Lan says, because Wendy was like, hey, let's hire mercenaries who are bloodthirsty and awful and whatnot, or some headhunters. That's what she wanted. She's like, I've heard of these things called headhunters, and they'll kill anybody for money. And like, okay, Wendy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the first couple of times I had the councils, I read through everything. And now I'm to the point where I'm like, I don't care what your logic is. I I click through all the dialogue trees, and then I highlight what the changes are going to be, and I pick the one I want the most.
I actually still read them, because I think they're usually really interesting. The characters
so long.
It gives a lot of character insight, and there's some really good back and forth there, because the characters will snipe at each other's decisions.
That part I usually do.
Yeah. So either way, the point being, those are all at least sort of legitimate. We're fighting the hordes of hell. Okay, we could get, really mobile and strong archers. We could get guys who are going to get wrecked if they can get to them, but otherwise will put arrows through eye slits. We can get, these mercenaries who are known for bloodthirsty fighting and won't back down for anything. And the default solution is, well, our troops kind of suck, so what if we just gave them slings? Because slings are really hard to screw up.
Okay, but I do have slingers. I got them at some point. I think it was just because, it was a randomly hired thing. And they're actually pretty good.
No,
if
they're
you
not
can get
awful.
enough of them, they're good.
Yeah, they're not awful, but mathematically speaking, because this is a game that has, like, rules about math and whatnot, like, oh, this unit has X attack and Y power and blah, 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 they are just the worst choice there. Like, it's objective.
Oh, between the... Oh, yeah.
And you're not costing anything here. You're not paying for anything to make this choice. So it is kind of punishing you, and so the entire crusade feels very inept, because they've had this queen who's been leading it for 500 years, and all of her advisors almost always give you the worst possible advice. Like, oh yes, let's send slingers to the front, or oh, let's just have cheap horsemen, or oh, the diplomatic ones are always political, where it's like, oh, you better do this even though it won't benefit you because it'll benefit the queen, and you wouldn't want the queen as an enemy, would you? To which you have apparently bent to, and I have pissed that woman off.
That one, I sided with the church. I went socios.
No, every single time she pulls something like that, and every time I've told her to, hit the bricks and kick rocks.
I think I sided with her the first time, and then when she was like, oh, you need to have a parade for the queen. You had a parade for yourself because you went with Darren, or at least that's what you told me.
I was going to go for Darren, and then I went for the church because I had to reload the save.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did.
But I love the Darren argument, because at that point he's still Darren is very much a high society, like, nightmare, where he's just this...
he's an aristocrat.
Rich, miserable aristocrat. Not miserable, but party boy aristocrat to an extreme hedonism level. Like, doesn't matter if people die at my party. I don't care if people get hurt. We're going to just do it. I don't care how insulting I am. I'm just here to get reactions out of people and do whatever I want. And one of the better moments of the entire game is he tries, like, you're finally made commander of the army, and he's like, well, it's been fun, but it sounds like Armageddon might be coming, so I'm going to go spend my life on a boat with hot people, and let me know if I'm going to survive, or don't. I'll find out either way. And
then the queen steps
And then the
in.
queen goes...
His cousin.
Yeah, the queen, his cousin, goes, oh, by the way, you know what? This new commander that I've appointed could really use someone who understands the aristocratic elite, and you just make such a great attaché and advisor. You're gonna have to do that.
And you say yes, and he's just like, yes, of course. I won't go on the cruise.
Yeah. I would love to be an advisor at the front lines of the army campaigning into the middle of hell, rather than the boat with all the hot people. And so extra fun at this point is he's like, well, we'll throw a parade for you, Commander. And you don't know at this point if he's actually a good person or not, or where you stand on that.
Oh, yeah, at that point I still hated him.
Yes, you still hated him. And it's like, is he going to, like, grow to the occasion and he's actually going to be good at this? Or is he going to just throw some rager and all my citizens are going to be, like, drunk going into the next battle and die on the field, and he's not going to care because, yeah, that was an epic party, though, right? So it's all sorts of fun, though, and that's why I picked him, because I'm like, no, screw you, I'm not throwing a parade for the queen. Darren, throw me a parade! It's like an extra insult that you'd listen to his advice, of all people.
Yeah, no, I went with the church, because I was like, I'm not throwing a parade for the queen. She has done nothing to really help me right now. Screw that lady. This was on me. This was on my people. We fixed this. We saved everybody. But if I throw a parade for the church specifically, no one can get mad, because church people, paladins, the clerics, everybody likes them. It's a good thing to support them. They're the ones keeping us alive. They're healing us. I still haven't thrown the parade because it's like a plus 30 to morale.
Oh, yeah, no.
And my morale is constantly at 100.
At least on our difficulty, it's not worth ever doing. But
yeah.
Now that I know how to read what those things do, I probably would choose something else. But actually,
I think it was all about morale, wasn't it?
I swear the Darren Parade got us money, too, but maybe I was wrong.
Or leadership points, maybe.
Who knows? Definitely not leadership, not from him.
I don't know. I don't remember.
But yeah, no. So it's just fun little character moments like that and things. And there's a million of those. Actually, one character we haven't even talked about that I think is fun is Ninio. A lot of people hate her from what I've read, but she's... First of all, I think that's first impression problems. Like, what's interesting about writing these deeper and more interesting characters is they come off one way when you first meet them, and you might go, ew, I hate them, like Liz. But then as you start doing their quests and learning more about them, you're like, oh, they're actually not what I thought. Not always, anyways. Depends. Some characters are exactly what you think. But Ninio is...
a girl.
Yes, who is apathetic to the world. She is a scientist trope, and not even like a real scientist, like this is not how science is done, but she wants to solve the world and make her perfect encyclopedia.
And she has a selective memory. I am level 20, you guys. I have had her since like level 5. Is that when you get her?
Something like that.
And she still doesn't know my name.
Yeah.
Because she does not think my name is important enough to remember.
Yes.
It's not important enough to go into the encyclopedia. Until that point, she will not remember my name.
Yes, she can choose what things she forgets. And that winds up being really interesting really fast. At first you're just like, oh, she's scatterbrained. And I've heard a lot of people don't like the tonal shift that she brings, where it's like, hey, we're out here fighting a war against demons, and this is horrible. And she's like giving them ad hoc quizzes and asking everyone for autographs.
I thought it was hilarious.
And yeah, I actually enjoy the absurdity of that, and just everyone in the moment being like, look, we don't know, she's crazy. Like...
So, I mean, I already spoiled this for you, so it's not horrible, but when I went to hell, I met the healer somewhere, and he was like, oh yeah, like, I could graft some demon parts onto you and make you stronger. And I was just like, no. And Ninio was in my party. She's like, ooh, I would love to be a part of this experiment. Please, graft some demon parts onto me. I would like to witness the outcome of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And yes, there is a downside to it, but I feel like in the end there's more upsides. So I was like, oh, okay, you were part of a good experiment, Ninio. Good for you.
Yeah, and her introduction is really fun because you're basically wandering through the city that's being attacked at the beginning of the game, and you come across some cultists, and she's quizzing them
on Baphomet,
on their
god.
Yeah, their demon lord that they claim to worship. She's like, "What is the symbol of Baphomet?" And they're like, I think it's horns." And she's like, "Wrong. It is this. What is your god's colors?" It's orange and blue." "No, it's this. You are terrible cultists. You don't know anything about your god." "Noted. I have now found out that cultists do not know anything about the lord they serve."
And some of them actually questioned if they wanted to remain cultists because of that.
Yeah, one of them will actually get upset and just go, "Fine, you know what? Screw it, I'm out." And quit.
It was so funny.
Yeah, and so...
And then she starts quizzing you.
Yes.
Then she's like, all right, Crusaders are smarter than cultists.
Depending on how you roll.
True. I rolled very well, so...
So, well, you can actually get the questions right if you've been paying attention to the plot up to that point. Very accurately, though. It's like little trivia things, like, what are the colors of your goddess? Like,
I think I passed every check except for the final religion check, and I knew the answer to it, so it worked out.
Exactly. And I only knew the answer to one of them my first time, and I failed every check, so I got lucky on one of them and missed the other and knew the last one. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. What other things are kind of interesting about it? I don't know too much about her, but the main villainess, which I think actually doesn't narrow the scope down too much, the woman who created the world wound 500 years ago, is very interesting, in that she's like an evil Ninio, and that all she seems to care about is experimentation, and she has some higher goal. I don't know what that is. I suspect at the point Liz is at, she has much more information on that, since you're right at the end.
I have some of the answers. I don't have all of them.
Yeah, and I know some of this stems to the secret ending, which I'm not going to spoil until I've beaten the game once, but there's a really, from what I've read, there's a secret ending to the game. There's no way you would ever get on your first playthrough.
There was absolutely no way I ever would.
Yeah,
the first choice I made was the wrong choice.
Yeah, before you even make your first choice, there's things you have to do. Like, literally seconds into the game, there's 2 things you have got to notice and do, or you cannot get that ending. And then you get to make that choice, and if you make that choice wrong, you've already ruined it, and you cannot get that ending.
Wait, what are the 2 things? Do you have to do, like...
You have to find a midnight bolt and a knife.
Oh, in the first
In the first area. There's 2 items you have to find.
I think I found the midnight bolts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I found a knife, though. I don't remember.
Right.
If I did, I've sold it, so it doesn't matter.
I don't think you can. I think it's the same. It becomes the knife that you get later anyways, one way or another.
But you have to find it early.
Yes.
Okay.
So, point is, yeah, it's a very, very secret ending, but I've heard that the point of that ending is that if you've really been paying attention to the plot, there's always going to be little inconsistencies and things that you don't understand no matter what path you take. And this is the only one that ties that all up and explains it and suddenly makes you go, oh, that's why this didn't add up, or oh, that's why this didn't work, or oh, that's why this is going on. And I don't know which paths can get that ending. Because if you think about it, I guess we haven't really gone over what the paths do, so I guess I'll do a super quick breakdown. Or maybe I already did in the last video, but again... Angel is like wrathful. Well, maybe not wrathful. I think you get to kind of choose.
Awful good, isn't it?
None of them.
I mean, it's an angel, all right. You're mostly going to be doing good things. Typically.
You can be the Saturday morning cartoon good guy, or you can be the wrathful avatar of vengeance angel. Old Testament style. But either way, you're a good guy, and that you're going to kill the demons.
Go
Azada, that's obviously all about, hey, emotions and do what you feel and nature and all that. And then there's the Golden Dragon, which is all about mercy and forgiveness and, hey, even our enemies should be allowed to repent and be forgiven. Kind of what Staunton really needed, honestly. Because when you meet that character for the first time, he's hiding as a doctor in enemy territory and sort of like, hey, I heal whoever comes, so what are you going to do? You're going to kill my patients or whatnot? And...
depending on what you do, you meet a gold dragon.
Yes. And then you have, I guess I'll mention it now, the Legend Path, which is, I don't really know, I haven't gotten there, Liz has, where you give up all your superpowers and go, no, I'm going to be a human, I'm not going to be whatever I've been, whatever kind of godly-like creature you're becoming.
But now you can reach level 40 instead of just level 20.
Yes, so gameplay-wise, it's quite interesting if you like doing all those builds, but plot-wise, it's all about, no, I'm going to be a human, I guess.
If you're playing a human. I'm a
Aeons
Kitsune.
are lawful, and so they're all about time and space and saying, hey, something is legitimately wrong. It should never have been possible that this could happen. We need to fix time and space itself to undo all of this and fix it back to what it should be. And you're not necessarily a good person. You are a lawful entity, and so...
Reggie's lawful evil.
The concepts of law can get real nasty real quick.
Trickster gets to re-roll natural ones and stuff and make them nat 20s, right?
Yeah, well, the Trickster's all about metagaming, so the idea is, yes, this is a D&D game, and you're the player at the table who's decided to see if you can break the game by screwing with the DM. So it's a lot of, fourth wall breaks and screwing around and being like, oh, this minor bit character that you brought in? No, I want them to be the leader of my army, or stupid stuff like that just to see if the game can adapt. And of course it can because they wrote it, but,
Still fun.
Messing around with that. And then there's the Lich is the other neutral option, I believe. Well, whatever it is. Where you don't care about demons, you don't care about good, you just care about being an undead lich and getting your undead army. And so you'll do what you do, and there's these demons in your way, you might as well kill them all. Although I believe you can also turn one of the major cities into a pyramid of undead, so I'm sure that's not great either. And you're also working for a lich that you meet. So you meet this lich, and he's like your mentor. And depending on what you do and how you do it, depends on how he treats you at the end of the game.
Swarm.
Yeah, I was going to leave that for last.
I thought that was... aren't we at the end?
No, we have Demon and Devil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Demon is interesting because that's the one I'm doing, and I was curious, so am I just a demon? And I think you can very much play it as you're going to side with the demons. There were some interesting choices I could have made where I was like, yep, I'm evil, let me help you. And I didn't do that because I didn't want to do that route. So instead it's very much this is a massive amount of power and I can use the demon power to fight the demons. And I'm sure I can keep control of this and nothing bad will ever happen. And we'll see how that one goes. I'm curious to see how it plays, but I might do another demon playthrough just to see what happens if I hard commit to, God, why do you guys trust me? I am evil. There's already people really struggling with that idea. In fact, to spoil another moment, at a certain point, Iomede's herald, so this god, sends her herald down, an actual straight-up angel, her, general, to speak with you and be with you. And so, up until this point...
Well, no, she didn't send him. He went of his own free will.
Right, he goes of his own free will. Whatever, he's shown up.
Yeah.
So, for Liz, at this point, everyone's like, yeah, it's even more signs that it's the goddess who's helping us and whatnot, or whatever. And for me, at this point, it was really interesting, because a lot of people were like, we don't know how we feel about you, we don't trust you, but it seems to be working, but we're not sure, you're probably evil, but maybe not. And now this guy comes down and goes, nope, I am an angel, and I'm 100% sure you must be because of my goddess. And you ask him, like, are you sure? He's like, look, I don't know for certain, but I think you are. And
I believe in my goddess. I do not, distrust her.
I heard she works in mysterious ways, and I believe it's her will, and even if it's not, I believe you're a good thing. And I'm sitting there in red skin with a tail going, okay. And then I have 2 other cutscenes that happened right afterwards, because I had a stack of events waiting for me, where I made some incredibly ethically questionable decisions. And it was just sort of like, I was really hoping I could go back to him and go, okay, so here's what I did, and just have him go, huh. Yeah.
That's what my goddess...
You're probably, yeah, I mean, and so just that dissonance has been really fun. And then finally, devil, because what's the difference between a demon and a devil? Demons are chaotic, whereas devils are lawful. They hate each other. The devil path can only be reached through certain other paths. It's sort of a corruption of those paths. And is a really interesting idea, and that it's sort of like, no, we will be... It's all about the stereotype of, like, you sign a contract for your soul. That's what they're all about. So, gaining a massive amount of power for a cost. And their skills and abilities reflect that. You can, like, make people stronger, but they can't control themselves, or, make your spells better, but you can't, like, aim them as well, and just crazy junk like that. And that whole playthrough is sort of about corrupting whatever playthrough you were on, because it only comes from 2 of them, to my knowledge.
And they're both good ones.
No, one's neutral.
Oh, it's Aeon and Azada, isn't
it? Yeah, Aeon and Azada. So the Azada one's a real hard turn, whereas the Aeon is... You're a rogue Aeon at that point.
Yeah, Aeon's already lawful at the very least.
Yes, but I guess my understanding is that Aeon, you have multiple routes you can go. You can be a good Aeon, or you can be a bad Aeon. And if you're not being and not bad as an evil, just bad at being an Aeon. And if you're bad at being an Aeon, then that's how you can get to the devil path, where you can be really bad at being an Aeon and just be a devil. We love your work. So, yeah, plot-wise, they're all really interesting. And it's curious to see how they massively change what's going to happen and what's going on. And I'm just really interested to see where they go with that, because, like, we haven't played most of these. And, what's a Lich doing at the end of the game versus, okay, what is... And then there's the final one I didn't mention. I forgot. The Swarm. The Swarm that walks is where you decide... I was really, like, not sure how they were going to sell us on this, because I'm like, okay, these are, like, dragons and liches and all these crazy powerful things. Who cares about a bunch of bugs that band together? But you have a mission in the game that very clearly sells you on the idea that, like, oh, yeah, okay, this is a big deal. And... you fight that mission, and then you meet a person who's also a swarm, and you realize that this is basically a sentient hive of horrific bugs. And you can become one. Now, the fun thing about that is, doing so is the only path, whether or not you become a devil, or a demon, or a lich, and you're murdering everybody, there's a couple of characters who will decide that you're too evil and I won't work with you. In fact, I think there's only one for certain who will. I don't know if the others will actually draw a line in the sand on any of your activities. But, if you become a swarm, even the most evil characters on your team will go, nope, I'm out. They become afraid of you. Because you are going to eat and kill everything. And I'm really curious how that's going to relate in the overall arc of the plot. Especially certain characters and how they're going to react to seeing the fact that you are now a bug monster.
Terrifying. I don't want to do that.
I think it'll be fun.
So you'll have to do it. Alright, I think we're at the end of the video.
And that is the end of day 26 for 4 Heavenly Beasts. I got 6 hours and 11 minutes of footage, way more than yesterday, so that's nice. I am very close to finishing the 4th page. Like, so close. The bad thing is that, like, all of these big areas that have open spaces are 310, which is pure black, and my webcam does not like the darker parts of the pictures. It's very frustrating. Anyways, the way I've been tracking my time has 26 lines on it. So my total hours for all 26 days is 156 hours. No extra minutes. It adds up perfectly to 156. I hope it ends perfectly like that on every page. Like, that would be so cool. I don't see that happening, but it'd be really cool. Oh, I want to point out, you can see the dragon, alright? Like, this is his nose, and this is his eye. He's facing that way. I'm so excited. I'm so glad to be stitching this again. Like, I missed it so much. Okay, I'm just rambling now. It's getting very dark out, so yeah, I'm calling it quitsies for the night. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next video.